I'm Kate.
I'm Elle,
We are down to Faye, and this week we're wrapping up Queen of Shadows.
which means next week we'll start our Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn tandem read.
And the chapter breakdowns are on Instagram at DTFaye Podcast, but it is the chapter tandem read breakdown that pretty much everyone uses. I don't even know who put it together, but as I'm going through it, it works very well because those books are on the same timeline.
Yeah, nice job, whoever did that then.
Yeah, thanks, whoever. But we're starting with a quick recap of where we are in the story next week before we start the tandem read. And then we'll do the Empire of Storms prologue, and that's set in Gavin and Elena's time. And then chapters 1 through 5 of that book. And then Tower of Dawn chapter 1, just because I didn't want to announce, hey, we're doing a tandem read, and then our first episode is just Empire of Storms.
Well, really, the chapters seem to be longer than what we've been going
Sarah's
through.
getting into her longer chapters, and we see that in Crescent City.
So there's definitely more detail and fewer chapters.
And then next week, I'm going to the Ripped Bodice in Brooklyn for a book signing with May Corlin and Kristen Ciccarelli. So I will have lots to talk about, and that is the author of Heartless Hunter, the Crimson Moth series. And then May Corlin, I have not actually read this series. It's been on my list, but now, I'm going to have to.
Of course.
But it is 5 Ruined Realms, 5 Broken Blades.
Okay.
Four Broken Blades. Blades are broken. I don't remember exactly how many, but yeah. And then I'm almost done with book 2 of the Artifacts of Uranos series. And we finally got some spice.
Yes.
And he goes down on her, or like up on her. Like he's on his knees, but then she's like standing and she has her leg like up over him.
Ooh.
So that's very hot. And then she goes down on him a couple of chapters later, which the whole time, every time I read these, I'm like, am I the only one with a gag reflex? Like I gag sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth. But this girl, it is hitting the back of her throat and she's just
moving on.
Yeah, just I don't understand. Like maybe it's me.
These are unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, DM me your gag reflexes. But she doesn't let it go any further because it's one of those, she does it because he did something for her and she's like, I refuse to owe the prince anything. So he went down on me, now I have to go down on him just so we're even. Like it's one of those situations where she's acting like she's just doing it for that reason.
Oh, but she's enjoying it, but she's like using that mentality.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then I also tried to listen to When the Moon Hatched, and it was almost too good. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it was too good to listen to when it is a lot of world building. Like if it's complex in a good way, I have to read to it. I can't listen to it if that makes sense. Like I got to a point where I was like, I'm not comprehending everything that's happening. I'm going to have to go back and read it.
That's something people have said too, though, is like trying to visualize the way they describe things in When the Moon Hatched, because it's very like almost like linear. Like you have a top, a middle, and a bottom.
See, I wasn't getting that at all.
It's hard to visualize.
Yeah. And then also the narrator was really good, but it was just a female.
Well, what a letdown. But also some of the characters have similar sounding names in that series.
I need to see the words.
Yeah, hearing them say it versus seeing it takes a few times.
And then I also put a bid in on another original Throne of Glass paperback set because Haley, whoever you are, she did not accept my bid of $350. So count your fucking days, Haley. I mean, it's her prerogative and like it's a business. I understand there's like a market for it, but I was like $350 for paperback books. That's not enough.
That's a lot.
So I put this other bid out there and I did $300. And whoever the person is part of like this SJM Facebook group that I'm also part of.
Okay.
So I'm hoping she like wants to give these books a good home. And I will give them a good home on my bookshelf whenever I figure out how to build it. I opened it and I was like, let's get this bookshelf up. And it's been sitting there.
I really hope this works out for you.
But then we also were talking about Hemingway books.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's a scam, because I keep getting ads on Instagram and it's these gorgeous sets of like books that we love. ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, Fourth Wing, and they have these beautiful sprayed edges. But I tried to do some research on Reddit and it seems like it's a scam.
Well, the website itself, when you get on there and you're like, this doesn't feel very official. And like maybe it's one person doing their own website, but like I'm unsure what to think because the books are gorgeous and
Mhm.
some of them are reasonably priced, so I
They're
just
almost
can't
too
trust it.
reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Well, and I also when I was looking at the Reddit post of other people kind of asking the same question, there was one commenter who was going through and saying the exact same thing, copy and paste, and using the exact same photo of being like, "I ordered from them. My experience was great." And then they had this same photo of the same set. And people were commenting back to that person being like, "Okay, you either work for this company or like we can see through whatever you're doing, you know?"
Yeah, so I guess if any of the listeners has anybody bought from Hemingway? Have they had a real experience you could share? Is
Yeah,
it
just
worth
let
our
us know
time?
if anyone's done it because I do like I want to spend money. I'm out here trying to spend my money.
Me too. I will throw money at it. Just hope it's real. Well, we pick back up in Queen of Shadows, chapter 81, with Alide being prepared to
Mm.
walk down the very short aisle to her Vogue husband and baby daddy to be, Cormac.
First there's love, then there's marriage, then there's a little incision, a few stitches, and a monster ripping its way out of you. I love that Elide, when she was told, like, hey, we're going to be giving you to this demon, she's like, I have to get married.
It's the way
It's
she
like,
kept calling her her betrothed. I'm like,
mhm.
he's like
I don't
just
think they're
overseeing the process.
comprehending. But then also the way that they're washing her and putting her in a robe and kind of presenting her is also like, I thought this was just an incision, like the same thing that you guys did to the Yellow Legs coven. Is there something else going on?
Yeah, because like, and we'll get into it, but like, why are they washing her everywhere
I don't
if it
know.
just requires an
And I
incision?
mean scrubbing too.
Yeah,
It
all up
re-
in her business.
And so when you were saying short aisle, there is this TikTok of this woman who is getting married and she's showing like, okay, this is the song I want to use and this is when I would cue the bridesmaids to come out. There's all these videos stitching it that are trying to show like these bridesmaids are going to have to fucking sprint down the aisle to make it. So then everyone is like doing a parody of it of running down the aisle trying to get the timing right and it's very funny. When you said short aisle, it made me think of that.
I appreciate that you took it somewhere funny. That's good. As a lead, again, she's being prepared. The servants are washing her everywhere, like getting all up in her business. Then they dress her in a green robe with nothing underneath,
Like, she's literally being prepared like an offering. Like, it is very ritualistic.
which I wonder if they did that for the yellow legs.
I don't
You know, I
know.
don't feel like, not that we know what's going on, but it seems like she's being treated a little differently.
It does, and it's they're Vernon is like, "Oh, you have this dormant magic. Let's figure out what it does. Like, Elite is special, but everyone who's been taken to Morath had magic in their bloodline.
Hmm.
So why are they acting like they have so many more possibilities with Elite?
Like, what does that mean? I guess because she can be more than just a
But why would it
carrier.
be her that would be more than a carrier versus, like, anybody else?
Well, I guess because we don't know what the dormant magic is. You know, we meet some creatures later that they have manipulated and
Mhm.
messed with. I guess they're waiting to find out what the magic is to see what they can do. I
I
don't know.
guess.
It gives you a lot of questions about what it means. Four guards appear to take her to the Vogue Prince in the catacombs, and as she's trying to fight them off, her robe opens and they start laughing,
This
question mark.
would this would be it for me. I wouldn't come back from this.
Well, the whole situation, like, it's humiliating, but also like she's a beautiful woman. So what are they
They're
laughing at?
snickering like little boys.
It's like they're snickering at her discomfort or so. It's just
Mhm.
it's weird and it's very uncomfortable.
Well, they're laughing until a hand with iron nails punches through the throat of one guard, then another's throat is shredded. The guards drop to reveal Manon fucking Blackbeak behind him. It's a very cool visual of like she doesn't know what's happening at first, and then they drop away and Manon is standing there. And Sarah really set us up for what could have been a very good Manon and a lead romance.
Mhm.
Didn't it seem like a little bit we were setting up for that, or am
There's
I
been
just writing fan
so
fiction?
many undertones, like Manon sleeps naked and Elite's
Yes.
just there voyeuristically watching. Here Elite is exposed. Manon is saving her. Like there's so
Mhm.
much like potential
Like
sexual tension.
protectiveness of
Yeah. And it's one of those like, she's mine, you know, the
mhm. Yes, can
claiming.
you imagine,
We were
like,
so close.
Manon asking, like, "Who did this to you?"
Yeah. Well,
Oh
she
my
literally
god.
is, you
Yeah,
know?
and so she sees what's going on with the 2 guards holding a lead in the open robe, and she says, "You're already dead men," and she gets creative with it. She literally pulls one man's spine out, which I think might have happened, didn't you say in True
Yeah,
Blood?
I got a visual from True Blood. I can't remember if it was Eric Northman. I think so, but he, like, rips somebody's spine
And
out.
then they fall away and it, like, reveals him.
Yeah, like, it just is such a visual. It's brutal.
Well, I also have a visual of someone, like, ripping out a heart and then biting into it, and I can't remember if that's True Blood or maybe Vampire Diaries or
I do
something?
feel like it's True Blood,
Yeah.
but I
That sounds
can't
like some
remember who it was
HBO shit,
exactly. It does sound like HBO
not
shit.
CW.
When news of the king of Otterland's death reached the keep, Manon, guided by a strange, soft female voice,
God?
and
Be like, "God, is
hello?
that you?"
And the 13 used the chaos to their advantage, looking for a lead and readying their wyverns to get the fuck out of Morath.
The death of the king raises a lot of questions, like, will the Iron Teeth be free of their bargain to fight for Otterland? How does Dorian look in a crown? Like, me personally, I'd go ahead and open my mouth just in case Dorian in a crown spits somewhere near me. But right now, Manon needs to focus on getting them out. So she swipes her iron nails through the chain between Elid's cankles and tugs her into the hall as the Vogue, who are they're all down in the catacombs, but they hear what's going on. So they start coming up, and so Manon is having a very like, fuck, what are we gonna do moment.
Yeah, because now they're being surrounded on both sides. Like they're coming up from the catacombs, they're rushing down the stairs to see what the commotion is. They're everywhere. Manon finally recognizes the feeling, the emotion that she felt when she killed the Kraken witch in Air of Fire regret. Regret and guilt and shame for acting on blind obedience, for not being there for Astrid when she needed her, for what she'd allowed to happen to the Yellowlegs coven, the regret she'd feel if something happened to a lead.
She tells Elide they're gonna have to fight their way out of here, but then someone blocks the door. Kaltane.
Kaltane. Kaltane switches her dress for Elide's robes, revealing her thin and brutalized body beneath.
So Kaltane and Elide looking alike, I guess, was more for plot reasons than some big clue to Elide's heritage. Like, I mean, it's clear that I guess it's clear that that bloodline has some dormant magic or Venat. I mean, I knew I
Vernon!
was gonna say
It wasn't just me.
Manon and Vernon. Okay, Vernon thinks that there's some dormant magic in their bloodline. So maybe they are actually related because obviously Kaltane's family has magic. I don't know. I guess it's also like this just they needed to look alike so this moment would be
I mean,
realistic.
I love that you took it there because there's so many possibilities. My first thought was something more like lascivious and gross. That like Vernon is clearly like attracted to Kaltane, and
Yeah.
then that means that he's like thinking nasty thoughts about his own niece. Like
No, that makes sense too.
I mean, like Vernon is so scummy that it could
I'm
really
sorry,
go either
who?
way. Vernon?
Who?
Oh, I'm sorry, Vernon?
Oh, okay.
I was like, "Well, what did I do here?" Excuse me,
I think
Vernon.
Vernon is so fucking funny.
Ever since it happened, it's now in the back of my head
I
to
know
not say
once
it
you
that
say
way.
something wrong, it gets in my head.
You lamus.
Like Elamus.
Can't see it the
Happy
same.
Elamus to everyone who celebrates. It's also interesting that Kaltane seems to have like a similar gift for method acting, like Lysander did. And both of those characters have been so abused that I guess it impacted them. Like they're survivors,
Mhm.
so they kind of became who they had to be to survive.
They develop different skills.
Yeah, and I always the way I looked at it for Lysandra was she's a shapeshifter. She lost access to magic, and the way she would change characters or like, how she taught Aelin to change characters, it was like a non-magical shift.
Yeah, it's like on a smaller scale from what she could do magically, but also it's like there's just something in her genetic makeup that she's constantly evolving and changing.
Well, and there's also similarities between Kaltane and the King because they've both done horrible things or been used to do horrible things, and horrible things have been done to them. That even when they get free of the Vogue, they don't want to live.
Yeah. It's not necessarily like that they're looking to die or kill themselves or get themselves killed, but they're not really
They're
moving
not
forward
fighting to
either.
live either.
Yeah. Kaltain puts on the robe, smears blood on her skin, pulls her hair into her face, and folds her shoulders inwards until she looks just like a lead.
I'd be like, was the bad posture necessary? Caltaine is like, let me look uglier, and I'm you.
I know, and Kaltain is such a not Kaltain, Elide not that Kaltain isn't. Elide is such a strong character, but it's, like, almost kind of a moment for her, like, "Girl, you're
That's how
making
people
yourself
see
look."
me.
Yeah, you're making yourself look more like a target, like, "Just throw your shoulders back.
Well,
We
it's
know you can
not
do it."
often that you get to see yourself, like not just a
Yeah.
mirror, but she's seeing how
See
other
her.
people view her. And
Yeah.
that's probably like kind of a slap in the face, like a reality of like,
I'll say that would be a very hard moment of, like, "Squeeze me? Oh."
I did. Speaking of really seeing yourself, there's this thing on TikTok that's the inverted mirror, and it allegedly shows you because, like, when you look in a camera, that's not actually what you look like, I guess.
Oh.
So this filter is showing you how other people see you, and let me tell you, I am fucking ugly. When I
I
did this inverted, it was like my face was lopsided.
I don't know if I need to
Is my
see
face
that.
lopsided? Like, would you tell me?
No. Yes, I would tell you. Your face is not, mine is, I can confirm. I don't need to be shown that from
Yeah,
different
no
angles.
one go look it up. It does nothing for your self-confidence.
Gosh, I have questions about that now, though. Kaltain slices into the scarred lump in her arm, pulls out a glimmering sliver of dark stone, and wraps it in a piece of cloth.
And I think the cloth is actually from the cloak, right?
Yeah,
That's just those little
those
details.
callbacks.
Yeah. And also, I guess that Elise does have magic because she can feel the word key later on when she's traveling with it. She feels that it's just not right.
Mhm.
And Arabin had the amulet of Orinth for all those years and he couldn't feel it. So obviously, and I don't know if that would be Elid's the drop of witch blood or whatever magic is allegedly in her bloodline.
There's no telling, but she definitely has extra senses.
There's something, yeah. And it's all like she's also able to sense people being around her. So there is something more to Elide.
Mhm.
It is interesting also that when she's cutting it out, Kaltain's blood is red. And I know that she was able to destroy the Vogue inside her, but we don't actually know if Dorian's I mean, I know he said he would bleed whatever color you wanted him to, but I wonder if he actually would have bled red or black when he was possessed.
I don't yeah, I
What would he have
feel
come?
that's kind of terrifying. It makes me think again of Black Dagger Brotherhood when was it Butch when
Oh,
he
yeah.
inhales the lessers and then,
Uh-huh.
like, he comes, like, black and
Yeah.
he's like, "What is that?" Like, freaks
I
out.
forgot about that. When
Side
he
note,
and V just have to, like, hold each other for plot reasons.
I think that more could have happened while we were holding each
I
other.
also think more could have happened there.
I think V also thinks more could have happened here. But, yeah, I don't know with Dorian, it seems kinda like whenever the Vogue is in charge, it's black. So, like, maybe when Dorian, like, was himself speaking to Manon, he could have been red for a moment.
But it is interesting that it can just, like, turn like, it can go back and forth, that, like, somehow the blood is black. Is the blood completely different substance? Like, how would someone be able to go back from that to being, like, a normal human?
Yeah, how long would it take?
Yeah.
Like, even if we had killed the Vogue, is it immediately red again?
I don't know.
These are not really significant
These are
questions,
not
but
things that
very
matter.
curious.
It is also Elaine, what? I just Elide. Kaltain calls her girl, which is very Amryn coded. That's probably why I thought of Elaine.
Mhm.
Kaltain is not that much older than Elide, but she's been through so much. I'm sure she feels much older than she is. But the way she talks sometimes, it's almost like there's something ancient in Kaltain, which I guess would be the word key.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, she has lived so much life in such a short amount of time and the trauma, and there's no telling, like, when the Vogue was in her mind, like, what all did she see? Like, it must have felt like a very long time. So
This
she feels
poor
much more
girl
old
was
like,
just
older.
a social climber and just wanted to marry Dorian, and look what fucking happened.
Ugh.
And it also sounds like Erewhon was trying to do to Kaltain kind of what Bryce became in Crescent City, like a living gate.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded like he was, bringing her something else to add to her arm.
Yeah, like it wasn't just shadow fire that he wanted from her. It seems like he had a lot more
It
plans.
didn't seem like she was just holding that until he could put it somewhere. It seems
Right.
very much like more was coming for her.
And like one last thought, and then I will give the brain cell back to you. Did Kaltain always have shadow fire? And we might have already, I might have already asked this, but did she always have shadow fire, or did she have fire magic and the word key and maybe the Vogue inside of her warped it into shadow fire? Like, was that an experiment to try to create shadow fire?
Well, even without the word key, is there something that they could have done, like the way that they do to other magic users, to warp it regardless? I do remember that she talks about having fire magic as a child, and we don't get a lot more elaboration.
Hmm.
So that doesn't mean it couldn't have been shadow fire. She just kind of says fire.
And I do think it's so impressive what Kaltain was able to do completely on her own. Like everyone else kind of had people fighting for them, they had people that they were fighting for. Kaltain didn't have anyone, she didn't have anything. And Dorian and Aelin are very, those characters, and Kaol, honestly, most of the people in the series are very like, I deserve this. Like, whenever anything happens, like we'll see later on with Aelin, when she's not accepted or whatever, it's like, okay, I deserve this because of these things that I did. But Kaltain is literally like, I didn't deserve this.
Yeah, they're all just like it's a constant like I don't know about if you want to say they are martyrs, but they're constantly like yeah, heaping on like yes, lay more burden on me. It's my
Hmm.
fault. And Kaltain is very like no,
I didn't deserve
I
this.
didn't deserve this.
And this is why Sarah is the best in this genre. Like, she took this bratty, one dimensional character from book one that could have never popped up again and no one really, we wouldn't have cared, but she could have just disappeared. But then she turned her into this character that has us crying in the club.
Yeah.
Like, that has this huge impact on the story, both plot wise, but then emotionally.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
a
want to
it,
cry.
don't cry.
I love Kaltain. I am Kaltain. I'm also like bitchy social climber. I would have been trying to marry Dorian.
We've all had vapid, shallow moments. Like it's part of growing up. We don't deserve to be tortured for it. Jeez.
I mean, Erewhon is gorgeous, but she only got to be with Erewhon as Parrington, and he was ugly.
That is unfair.
That's the worst part of this whole thing.
The real trauma. Kaltain tells the lead to give the shard to Selena
It
Sardathian.
is so hard for me to keep track of who knows what, and especially when we get to Empire of Storms, I'm like, wait a minute, how does this person know this, or how does this person not know this?
Yeah, well, because like as the reader, we've been privy to so much, you forget who's a little late getting the information.
Well, in Crescent City, they could have just texted each other.
Right?
And
It
in
would have been on the
Akatar,
news. They
I
could have
feel
seen it on
like
TikTok.
there was still a lot more communication. Like, people were still more aware. There wasn't this lag of information.
Yeah, maybe they had better methods of sending messages. But yeah, Kaltain tells the lead to give the shard to Selena and to tell Selena that you can open any door if you have the key and remind her of her promise to punish them all. When the lead asks why, tell her they wouldn't, Kaltain tells her, tell her they wouldn't let me bring the cloak she gave me, but I kept part of it. To remember that promise she made, to remember to repay her for a warm cloak in a cold
Which
dungeon.
is so sweet because Aelin in that moment was very nice to Kaltain, but otherwise was pretty shitty to
Yeah,
Kaltain.
she
Not that
didn't,
Kaltain didn't deserve it, but she didn't think deeper
yeah,
about her.
she did take pity on her and she did bring her concerns to Dorian, but like after that, she didn't think about her again being in the
Mhm.
dungeons.
Well, and this is why a lot of people think that this is like the Surreal's origin story, which is one of those, I don't want to hear people's well thought out, reasonable theories. I want to hear the shit that's like, this person likes cloaks, this person likes cloaks, they're the same person. Those are the kind of theories that I enjoy.
I want to hear about somebody. I don't know your dad's name. Is it the King of Hybern?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is this? How are we related?
There are still so many characters we don't know the names of.
Yeah.
In this series, we have yet to learn the king's name.
Oh, yeah. It'll come up eventually, but yeah, we
Yeah.
don't know yet.
Elide tries to convince Kaltain to leave with them, but she has no interest in living after what's been done to her. The only thing on her bucket list is making them pay. And we talked about this last week, how Dorian just kind of like gave up Not that it I mean, that's terrible because I probably too would give up. But I'm like, Kaltain had so much anger and rage that she was able to hold on to. Like, she didn't remember anything else. She doesn't remember who she is. She remembers that she's very fucking angry.
Yeah, they hit Dorian when he was already down. And of course, these are different people as well, but Caltaine was able to retain a sense of self and to like kind of make a barrier to protect herself. But all of this that she's been through has really just kind of eaten away at like who she is and her body. Like she seems
Mhm.
kind of like almost like a shell of a person at this point.
And she was wearing a collar, right? Like, she had a Vogue prince inside of her. It wasn't
Yeah.
a minion.
Yeah. She
Okay.
was, yeah. And she had the word key. Like there's so much intensity that she had. The guards find Caltaine curled up in the cell and they take her down to the catacombs. By the time Cormac realizes who she is, it's too
I just
late.
picture her, like, smiling.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just
Like
like
a very cruel.
it's such a big dramatic scene. It's
Mhm.
cruel to them and she's fighting back, but it's also a release for Caltaine. Like, this is
Yes.
it. It's over. So it's almost like a moment of peace for her.
It is interesting that she's still able to have shadow fire after the shard was taken out of her.
Well, and also, I don't remember if we discussed this before because we didn't want to give spoilers, but like the way that Caltaine has this buildup and throws her life force into it. Yes, there's shadow fire, but is there a hint of witch blood?
It could be.
Because,
I
the
mean, if
witches
they
have the yielding where
yeah.
they give it all and it becomes like an explosion
Mhm.
of energy. Like, I mean, she has the shadow fire and it's powerful, but it's not explosive.
I mean, if we're going with Elide and Kaltain somehow being related and Elide has a drop of witch blood, so could Kaltain.
Do we just unlock something really important?
I never know if our one brain cell we pass back and forth has, like, done something or we're just too dumb to know that it
We've either
hasn't.
discussed this multiple times and already answered our own question, or like we are brilliant. So, like,
We are the
maybe
smartest women alive.
so smart. Oh, God. Speaking of, what was the dumb thing I said last week?
God, who
Oh, we were
knows?
talking, we were talking about like the realms and worlds being stacked. Like,
Oh, yeah, someone messaged me
and
the
I
name of
said
that
something,
theory.
yeah, I said something like, I think it was string theory.
Yeah,
And I said
string
something
theory.
stupid like Occam's razor, which is like,
But you know what? That also is a thing
it is
that
a
sounds
thing,
smart.
but I think it's more like, it's the most likely outcome you expect it to be. It's got nothing to do with multiple realms. So, it's string
I
theory.
was thinking of something like Schrodinger's cat. I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I
That sounds
also had
smart.
a thought. It does. Someone out there is like, you're saying it wrong,
She
and
had
it's
one
not
thought.
relevant at all.
Well, all that to be said, I think this is a very interesting possibility. We'll probably hear nothing
Yeah.
about it ever again,
No, that's
but
that's
maybe
really interesting.
just because
I need a better word. I need to look up synonyms for interesting.
I know, I feel like I say a lot of the same things. Like, I have questions. I say that all the time, and
I
I'm
say that's
sorry.
wild and interesting.
It's wild because it is though. Like she unleashes her shadow fire, and the room burns to cinders. Number one, this is stone. And like it's a big deal because Maeve built a whole castle out of
Mhm.
stone to try to hide from wildfire, but this shadow fire can like burn through the stone.
Well,
Like, what does
they
that
can't
mean?
she can't get through the iron door, and so they're probably like, "Well, she can't get in here," and she literally just creates her own door.
Right, which is why I'm like, this has to. It feels like there's something more to it
Yeah.
for what her shadow fire is able to do.
I understand why she had to do this, but having Kaltain on their side for the rest of the battles would have been a game changer.
I know, and it's not
Like,
that
if
she.
she were able to go to Doranel, she could really fuck shit up.
I know. Like the thing is, it's impressive how long she's able to push through because so much is done to her. And I know I said a minute ago, she seems kind of like a shell of a person, but just like there's so much exhaustion for how much she's been
Yeah.
through. And this is amazing what she can do. But yeah, can you imagine her on the battlefield on their side? That'd have been great. She burns through the room. She disrobes and walks to the room with those poor yellow legs, the coven that has their little monster babies. She destroys everything and everyone in her path. Kaltain smiles and then she burns herself into ash.
It's very cinematic. Like, this is another scene that I want to see on a screen. But something that's always stuck out to me, and maybe I'm dead wrong, I probably am, but Manon's whole arc is no one is born evil, they're made that way. We just burned, like, a lot of babies, and I know they were monster babies, they were made of stone, they were probably very ugly, but is that kind of weird that we're, like, celebrating, like, we got rid of those little baby monsters, but we don't you know what am I
Yeah.
making any sense?
No, now I'm overthinking it as usual. Like, could they have been innocents if you raised them differently?
Yeah, like, Vogue were involved in the making of the witches, and not all of the witches are evil.
Well, because I was like, you can't say that it's different because they had Vogue blood, because again, so do the
So do the
witches.
witches.
Although the witches did have the Fae blood to temper it, but, like,
They had the witch blood. Oh, I guess it
well,
was
like,
they
even
would have
those
more Vogue
these
blood.
little babies, like, even if they're majority Vogue, they still had some witch blood, would have some so, like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
We overthink
Let's
everything.
pretend they're horrific because it's really sad
Well,
otherwise.
I don't know why, but what I picture, I think it's because they said their skin looks like stone, is I'm picturing the little gargoyles from Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Yeah, the baby ones?
the cartoon.
Oh, no, but that makes them sweet babies
Yeah.
because 'cause they're cute. I was thinking more of,
But
like, the
just like little
gremlins,
block bodies. Oh yeah, like the
the very
gremlin with the
80s movie.
lipstick on.
Something crazy looking, though.
Well, also, could Caltaine not have waited a little longer for the innocents to get out? Like, I know that she is like not thinking beyond revenge, and this isn't she's not actually like trying to save everyone. She's not even trying to be a hero. Like, this is just straight up revenge.
Yeah, she's decided this now's the time. She's making a move, and it is now. There's
Well,
no hesitation. She's not worried about anything else.
and I know a lot of the people in Morath, they were assholes. But between this and the Glass Castle, like, it is not a good day to be working as a laundress.
Yeah.
Because there were those girls that had nothing they could do for a lead, but they were still gonna try to help
Yeah,
her.
those that worked in the laundry, those that worked in the kitchen that kind of got trapped there, not realizing what they were being signed up
I
for.
hope that Manon told Elite about that, because Elite walked around assuming no
Nobody
one
thought
even
about
noticed
her.
she was alive, and I just think that was such a powerful moment where it's like, even when you're, like, inside yourself assuming that no one cares about you and that no one sees you, there probably is someone out there, and there were people for Elite, and I just hope they got out, but I guess they
Yeah.
probably didn't.
Oh, I hope she tells her or told her because, like, it's small, but it means so much to know that you were seen,
Mhm.
like, not just Manon and the witches, but, like, others saw you too, you weren't forgotten. Manon tells a lead to hold on, spider monkey, cringe, and races up the stairs to the airy. 13 other wyverns leap off right as the tower crumbles and Morath explodes.
Back at the Glass Castle, Rowan has been watching over Aelin as she slept for 3 days. Very Jesus of her to arise after 3 days.
Oh, dang. You say that right when Easter's rolling up. I'm like, yeah, it is. 3 days
Yeah.
is very specific. After she'd addressed the crowd from the gallows, she'd returned to the castle, sank to her knees, and cried. Rowan scooped her up and took her to her old rooms.
You know, Lorcan was like, ugh, get up. He had barely set her on the bed when he scented Lorcan, but he didn't have to handle that. Lysandra did. She got right in Lorcan's face, then vomited black blood all over him. That is very, like, you were talking about Black Dagger
Yeah.
and Butch when he,
Yeah.
and also,
It's very Jennifer's body.
yes, Jennifer's body, that
Ugh.
scene. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Ugh, it's like graphic, like just unleashing.
And the best part is he doesn't even step out of the way. He just kind of like stands there. I can picture his face. Like, I fucking love Lorcan. He is one of my, like, I don't know, top 5 book boyfriends.
Hmm.
And I know that, like, that's not for you, and that's great because we don't have to fight over him. I've like live laugh Lorcan. In this book alone, though, if you think about it, like, Lysandra killed Arabin, she saved Rowan and Adian, she vomited on Lorcan. Like, she is her Lysandra and Caltaine are the heroes.
Oh my God, yes. They're not getting enough credit for how much they've done. I don't dislike Lorcan by any means. I just need more about him. Like, we only start to get stuff from him, like, and see his POV as everything escalates. So I need more. I have
We
more
get
questions.
more. We get a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's like a little bit, and it's still as he's learning and things are evolving. So, like, I just want more.
He's mysterious and he's grumpy.
That is
And
so
he's hot and he's very tall. So
wow. So there's
If you
that.
saw that on a Tinder profile, you would definitely swipe right.
I'd be like, "That's AI." That's too good to be true.
AI has really, like,
They're ruining
infiltrated Tinder.
dating.
Yeah, they're all over dating apps, like, you don't know what's real.
It's bad enough that there was catfish out there, and now nobody's a real person, and they have, like, full bios written out. I'm like, "Good
But
God."
what's the game? What is AI trying to get from us through Tinder? Like, are they asking for your bank account?
No, dude, and they almost all have, like, when they say hi if you match with them because 'cause you're dumb and don't realize it's fake, like me, they all say the same thing. It's either like, "Hi, I'm very happy to have matched with you," or, "It's nice to meet you." I'm like, "We didn't fucking meet. You hadn't gotten things started yet, but okay."
Mhm.
And then it'll be like, "Where's your favorite place to travel?" And I'm like,
It is
so, like,
it's not easy to spot, but
obvious.
it is like there are things that just real guys don't say.
It's either that or it's
Very
like
formal.
the grammar is yeah, it's too good a grammar. They've got a full profile. It used to be like a blank profile was sketchy. Now it's like it's too full. It's
Oh,
not real.
really?
Yeah. Like they answer too many questions. You're like,
Hmm.
it's a rough world out there.
They're gonna have to every real boy out there should have to do where you talk into it. It, like, has, like, where you can play a line. I
Yeah.
think that's Hinge.
Well, you can also do the check mark and like photo verify, but I've heard you can pay for that. So like maybe that's only on Instagram. I don't know.
Mhm.
Those that like cause you like they go to verify your face. I'm like, I'm not wearing makeup, so this picture can go nowhere or I will come for you. But anyway,
That's like when you're picking up your food order and your Uber Eats driver takes a fucking picture,
yep.
or your DoorDash driver, and you're like, I didn't approve that. Delete
That's
that immediately."
unnecessary. Lorcan seems to think that he's owed thanks, even though he's the one who lied about the wordhounds being dead and gave them Rowan's scent.
But it's not Rowan Lorcan was saving, or at least that he's admitting to saving. It's Adian. Lorcan didn't know Gabriel's son would be in the tunnel until it was too late. And God forbid he admit he made a mistake. So he could have stopped them on the front end, but he let them walk in there. And Lorcan tells Rowan it's not over, not even close, and disappears for the rest of the book.
I mean, like, it is funny that Lorcan thinks he's owed a thanks, and he did show up at the end there to help
I think
them.
Lorcan is so funny. Like, his scenes make me laugh because he doesn't have a sense of humor, and there's just something so funny about that.
I mean, it is pretty funny. He is very, like, intense. Speaking of Adian, our favorite power bottom has taken over the castle. He imprisoned any surviving guards, but most were killed when the castle shattered. Kaol, alive thanks to Aelin and the Eye of Elena she tucked in into his pocket, is still unconscious. As is Dorian, who is alive thanks to Rowan and his wind, and currently he's being looked after by Philippa.
I love the callback. There's so many little book
She's like,
one
we can truly, that's
connections.
like our person we can trust, you know?
Yeah. Rowan is dying to talk to Aelin. Like, he doesn't know what the fuck happened on that glass bridge. No one does, except for Dorian and Aelin. But even the healer pulling shards of glass out of Aylin's back, that didn't wake her up. Like, that's how exhausted and close to burnout she was.
Yeah.
And Adian and Rowan haven't talked about their little moment in the tunnels when Adian was ready to die for him. Like, can you imagine? I'd be like, we're never going to talk about that when I called you brother.
Oh, see, I'd be like, okay, so if anything ever happens to me, you'll do the same thing, right?
Well,
Same
Rowan did
page?
at least give him like a little special dagger, and Adian's been wearing it at his side ever
It's
since.
like those like we're bestie necklaces that
Yeah.
like they're just like we
But
just
it's like,
are.
Dad,
So cute.
it's to me saying goodbye in such a dramatic way of like, it's been a pleasure. And then having to live would be so like, I think I'd just die. Like, it would be embarrassing to live after. It's kind of like when you say
It's
goodbye
embarrassing.
to someone and then you keep walking in the same direction. You're like, fuck,
Bye. But
bye.
it's funny. It's not funnier. It's cringier because Rowan didn't say anything back. He just called out Aylin's name. I'd be like, great.
He roared and let someone go past him to attack Adian.
Oops. Sorry about that. When Aelin finally wakes, she and Rowan tell each other everything. The Hellfire, the Wordhounds, Lorcan, what the king said, what he'd claimed, and what Dorian had still done.
I do wonder why it just seems like for all of Empire of Storms, Aelin is letting people believe that she's the one that killed the king and brought down the castle.
Well, because
Why is that?
she needs them to trust Dorian. If Dorian's the one to kill the
But
king,
then they're using that against her. That would piss me off.
I know it doesn't make him look very stable, but she's the enemy, so I guess it's expected. But also, she says it like what Dorian did. I'm like, yeah, Dorian maybe had the plan to kill his father, but the way he erupted, he didn't have any plans for anybody.
No, there was no plan.
Because she makes it seem like he targeted the king, and I'm like, "You were up there too.
Mhm.
The people in the castle were still there, like, it wasn't just the king."
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, this is also the first time that Rowan is seeing the room Aelin stayed in at the castle, the one that she was brought to when she was just an assassin from Endovier competing in a tournament, where she would have breakfast in bed with Nehemia, where she would read books that her and Dorian traded, where she lost her virginity.
Heyo. And where the secret passage to the crypt of Gavin and Elena is.
Or where it was. Rowan carries her to the bathroom, and when they sit back on the bed, he holds her in his lap. It's very sweet, but when I try to picture it, I get the ick. Because it's like, I'm not child size, so I am like busting. Like, I'm not, I don't know. There's just something like, to me, it's childlike and not sexy to be held like that.
It's not sexy, but I don't feel childlike. I feel like it's, like, protective
I
and,
don't
like,
want to be held
kind.
like that.
Okay. Nobody hold Kate. She's not into it.
Don't hold, I mean, you can hold me,
Oh, no,
but
no. You said no.
okay, fine.
This
Still
is your
hold me.
chance.
It's fine. But it is a very intimate moment, and Aelin doesn't let people see her be vulnerable. Just, well, Lorcan saw her be vulnerable, but she doesn't let people see this side of her very often. And it's, I don't think she didn't even really let Chaos see this side of her.
Well, like, even what Lorcan saw, like, tears, I don't think make you vulnerable. I think it makes you look like a strong person, that you care enough about your people and the people around you. But, like, admitting that you were scared, like, just she is showing weakness, and she's showing how scared she was. So,
Mhm.
like, it's like a different type of vulnerability.
Yeah.
But it's the same for Rowan. He echoes Aylin's earlier words. She makes him want to live too, not exist, but live. He spent centuries wandering the world looking for something, and he thinks that whole time he was looking for her.
Lyria's like, cool.
Poor Lyria.
Cool, cool. I know, she's really the victim in this entire
Yeah.
series. They kiss, like really kiss, not stopping when Adian walks in to deliver a letter from the Bane. Rowan snaps the door shut with his wind, and Adian turns to see Lysandra with tears in her eyes. That is what I am going to find one day, she tells him.
I mean,
It's very sweet, but Adian's like, what? A Fey Prince?
yeah, I'm looking at him. You coming my way later? Are we having a moment here?
Are we all having a moment?
Should we have a moment? It's another one of those scenes. It's very sweet, but again, like, she puts her, like, Rowan's hand on her boob, and then she winces like a little bit, and they just stop. And I'm like, guys,
Push through.
I'm dying a little bit here. Like, this is our time to really celebrate this. But, like, okay. Aelin later goes to visit Dorian,
whose finger is missing Athral's ring thanks to Lorcan, who also caused Aelin's unconsciousness with a blow to the back of her head. But he didn't kill her, so that's something.
which is wild because I initially, like, when reading the story, I was like, okay, she must have landed a little bit hard and she's exhausted.
He
But,
was like,
like,
bonk, and then he took, I don't know why he'd bonk.
bonk.
I have a funny bonk story.
Sometimes you're so unserious.
Well, so when my boyfriend and I usually go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, it's like my favorite thing because they have very well done haunted houses that are based on like movies and shows. Like there was a
Mhm.
Stranger Things house. There was a like a bunch of Rob Zombie movies, like House of a Thousand Corpses, whatever. We were going through one that was about clowns in space, I think it was.
In space? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was like clowns. The clowns were like evil. It was evil clowns.
Yikes.
So we're walking through this house, and my boyfriend, like, I scream, I run. At one point, I was chased across all of Universal by a guy. I knew it was a fake. What's it called?
Chainsaw?
Chainsaw. I knew it was fake, but I could not stop myself from running and screaming. Like, if someone's coming at you with a chainsaw and a mask, I start running.
You are committed. You're in the moment.
My boyfriend just stands there. Like, he doesn't jump, he doesn't scream when people pop out, whatever. So we're walking through, and this clown jumps out. And it's clearly like a moment most people are like, ah, like I scream. My boyfriend just stands there, and he and the clown look at each other, and he has this like fake mallet, and he like, it's like blow up. And he kind of hits my boyfriend on the head with it very lightly, and it goes bonk. And then they're both just staring at each other, and then the clown like slowly backs up back into his hiding spot. And it was like, the clown was like, what is this guy's deal?
That's actually hilarious.
But it made this like cartoonish bonk.
I would have had to stop to laugh because, like, it would have changed my whole trajectory.
I know.
That's so
If you
funny.
ever have the chance, Halloween Horror Nights is so fun.
Well, they're so well done since
It's
it's Universal.
immersive, like, even like, obviously, the houses are it's Universal, so it's, like, it's done by the people who made Stranger Things, by the people who did, like what was the
It's the
movie?
same set design, like, they've
Yeah.
got all the same people, yeah.
It's really great, and then it's very immersive, like, they have people walking around the whole time,
Mhm.
like, they have people dressed as zombies. One year it was The Purge, so everyone was wearing masks and, like, walking
That one, like,
around.
scares me more,
Yeah,
like,
like,
"Ooh, I'm
I
not ready
can't
for
help
that."
but jump, but yeah. So
Well, Lorcan didn't technically, he never promised that he wouldn't steal the ring back,
well, and they technically never verified the Amulet of Orinth wasn't a fake.
so fine.
So fine. Dorian doesn't even know where to start. He doesn't know where to start with Aelin or with Chaol, like with any of it. Dorian is processing a lot, not just the trauma of being possessed by a Vogue prince, but he just killed his father that he just realized his entire life was fighting so hard for him.
Mhm.
Like that he wasn't this just evil asshole. And so you would start to question every interaction you had with him. Was that really my dad? Was that just the Vogue inside of him? Did
Well,
I ever meet my dad?
did I make the right choice here?
Well, and he also almost killed all of his people.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Like he sent all that glass towards Rifthold. Aelin had to stop it. He almost killed his friends when he brought down the glass castle, and he never got to mourn what's her name.
Yeah. There's a lot on his plate to try to sort through. Also, like, what are my next steps now?
Right.
Like, how do I rebuild? Where do I go from here? There's also the inevitable war with Parrington/Erewhon.
It's a terrible time to be crowned king, honestly. No matter
Think
how good you look in a crown,
thinks I
this is
hate it.
terrible. If anyone knows trauma and grief and shame, all these emotions that are flooding, because I imagine if you're, so like when you're possessed, you become hollow. And then once that, all of that opens up and it floods in, it would be overwhelming. It's kind of like Manon having not felt emotions before.
Yeah.
Like having all that come in at once would be a lot. But if anyone will understand, like, because there's a lot of, it's not just grief and trauma, there's a lot of shame with Dorian. When he was possessed, did a lot of really terrible things to other people.
Well, it's also like it's not like he was just on the side the entire time thinking through everything. Like, it's almost like he was in his own darkness, so he hasn't had
Right.
time to process any of it while he was in there, and it's just heaped on top of him. Like you said, it probably all comes flooding in.
Well, and there were also moments where it seemed like he was not enjoying it, but it's like he couldn't help, like when the Vogue was feeding, it was like he was kind of feeding too.
Yeah, he was getting some of the high from what the Vogue
Right.
was doing, which probably makes him feel extra gross
But
and
if anyone
shameful.
can understand that shame, it's Aelin.
Yeah.
And she tells him, when you're ready, I'll be here for you. And she keeps her promises. Like she said that she would come back for him, and she did. It was to kill him, but she did come back.
I know, that was the only thing. She kept saying that on the bridge to Dorian, like, "I came back for you." I'm like,
To
"Uh,
kill him?
you weren't necessarily the top priority when
You
I
had a
came
sword
back."
over. I mean, we understand why.
Like, what
You
context are
had
you
a
saying?
sword over his head if Nezrin hadn't knocked it.
Yeah, well, because he's so grateful that she helped bring him back, but that is not necessarily what she was originally trying
Right.
for. So, like, there's a moment like, she's not lying, but it feels like a little bit fake. It was hard for me
And so
reading
she's
that.
rewriting history a little bit.
Yeah.
If I were KO, I'd be like, she was trying to kill you.
Yeah. Well, and maybe Dorian would be like, "At least she was trying to help free me from this." Like, who knows?
And he was begging. It was kind of
Yeah.
like his dad. They were both begging for release anyway,
Yeah.
and that included death.
And so she's not wrong. She did have every intention of what she thought was helping him. She wanted to help him. It's just like the way it's said in the context, it sounded like she had
You're
every plan to
welcome.
save him the whole time. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Also, it's like a little Crescent City moment when he asks what to do next, and she tells him to light up the darkness.
Yeah, light it
Light it
up.
up.
I don't know why we always get into like the brattiest. I think it's because it
That's how
was
the Audible person, the narrator,
yes,
says
and it
it.
was always bright when it was Bryce and Danica. It was always they were like out drunk or something.
It
Light
was a
it
little bit
up.
like nasally and
Mhm.
annoying, like woo girl, like light it up.
R.I.P. Danica. Stupid lying bitch.
Couldn't make me like you.
They could never make me like Dana or Elena, but we will get there. Down the hall, Kale opens his eyes and finds Dorian by his side. His friend drops to his knees beside the bed as Kale weeps in relief.
Oh, some of
You know
these
what? I have my problems with Kale. I'm not going to say I have my problems with Dorian. He just hasn't really been in the plot for a while.
Mhm.
Their friendship is one of my favorite parts of the series.
I know there's so many moments like this one that, like,
They
catch me in
love
my
each other.
feels.
Yeah.
Like, after all they've been through and, like, right, wrong, and different good decisions, bad decisions, like, the fact that they're both back here again together, it means a lot.
And Kale really fought for Dorian. He
Yeah.
never, I don't know, maybe at the end, I can't remember which way they landed with the plans after they saw the guards, but for the most part, Kale never gave up on Dorian.
Yeah, it's never like he made any decision where he forgot about Dorian Aelin. It was all one way or another, he had Dorian's best interests at heart.
Yeah,
He wanted to help Dorian. Kael realizes that he's unable to feel his legs, and that's when Dorian tells him his spine was broken in a few places. That bitch Amethy might have been able to heal him, but she died when Dorian brought the castle down.
which is another layer of guilt for
Yeah.
Dorian. Rowan healed what he could, and that is, and it's kind of like waking up, and it's you've been what we've been able to do with healing is thanks to magic. And it's Kaal was so scared of magic. And that's what has saved what they could. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I making any sense?
Yeah. Well, just like he was so afraid of magic and like, look, this is one of like the wonderful things that
Yeah,
he
he's
didn't,
learning the good side of it.
yeah, he didn't get to see before.
But what Rowan did is the only reason that Kale isn't paralyzed, but the lower fracture was too complex. And the king wiped healers out, and they can't risk sending him to Wendlin.
But there are healers at I said it wrong last time. I think it's Torre Chesme who could heal him.
I love how these chapters, they kind of feel like they go on, like there are a couple endings
Like
where
yeah,
I'm
you
like,
think we're done
and
and then
we're
there's
done,
more.
and then it opens up again. But they really set up two whole books at once. It is also pretty wild that we get a whole Kale book and we don't get like a Dorian book, or like it's really interesting to me. Obviously, Kale doesn't want to leave his friend when they were just reunited, but traveling to the southern continent is the only hope of him ever walking again.
Kael's next visitor is Nezrin, the first female captain of the guard.
I love this for her. I love Nezerin. And Kale has been promoted to the King's Hand, which is very Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Hand of the King. Kale's like, turns out I broke my promise to you because I will, in fact, not be walking out of this castle. And Nezerin burst into tears.
Oh.
She had seen Aelin's fire save the city, like when Dorian shattered the castle. It was all going towards Rifthold. She used the fire to stop it. And when she saw that, Nezrin prayed that Aelin would somehow save Chaol too.
You're
And
putting a lot on Aelin's
well,
shoulders.
and Chaol's like, I mean, it was Rowan who saved me, but I'm not going to correct her. Like he has that thought. It was Rowan that saved me, but I'm not going to correct her.
I
Talking
mean,
about Nezrin, bitch, did a hawk drop the eye of Elena into your cargo shorts,
oh
or was
yeah.
it Aelin?
I think it's a team effort here, okay?
He still has his fucking moments, and he has them throughout Tower of Dawn. We're on our healing journey, but it
he
is
has
just
grown
starting.
a lot. We're just not all the way there yet.
He just still blames so much on Aelin.
But he's got to work through it.
He has to work through it.
Nezrin vows to go to the southern continent to make them heal Kaal, and Kaal jokes that she might not even want a crippled man.
Poor Chaol. Like, imagine he's trying to hold it together in front of everyone right now, but he just found out he can't move his legs. Like, I just can't imagine the panic, the fear. And I know that he's joking around, probably to keep from screaming, but I just can't imagine everything that he's feeling in this moment. Like, Dorian is safe. That's overwhelming. But I also can't feel my legs. I need to travel to the other side of the world and leave Dorian. And I'm the king's hand. So, like, there's some imposter syndrome. It's just like
Yeah.
there is a lot. And he can't, like, and we'll talk about this when we get into our Tower of Dawn chapters. But so much of Chaol's personality was that he was like a protector.
Mhm.
And he put a lot of his worth on the external, and he's ignored a lot of the internal.
Yeah.
And now that he can't work things out through exercise or training. It's just he's really gonna have to figure out who he is outside of Dorian, who he is outside of being a guard.
Well, also, not to take away from what he's feeling, but, like, at least magic exists and you have a solution. There is magic that could potentially and will most likely help heal you.
Mhm.
You're literally on your way to be healed
Yeah.
and you can afford it, like,
That is a luck that's a little bit of privilege.
it's gonna be a horrible journey. It's gonna be very rough. It's a lot of pressure on your shoulders because you're not just going down there to hopefully be healed, they're also making you an emissary. There's just
Yeah.
hopefully I
You
do
got 2
yeah,
jobs.
I hope I do this right because I'm really good at smooth talking and schmoozing.
Well, the problem is, like, with the king's hand, this is what drives me insane. He's so proud to be the king's hand when Dorian is the one who brought the glass castle down, and he's, like, almost embarrassed to be the ambassador from Terrasen because he's like, "How are people gonna perceive Aelin?" And I'm like, "How are they gonna perceive Dorian, who was just infected by a demon and brought down the glass castle and killed the king?" And I know that people don't know that, but I'm just like,
And it
he
almost
just
feels
holds
like
so much bitterness or something or
yeah,
anger
and
for
I'm sorry,
Aelin.
I stepped all over you as you were trying to have that thought.
No, I was barely having a thought.
It's just like it's the same thing, like, the way he views Aelin, he can't give her any forgiveness, and with Dorian,
Yes.
it's like, "It's okay." But I was thinking about that when you said earlier, like, did why did he let Aelin let everybody believe that she's the one that killed the king? And, like, honestly, it makes Dorian look even weaker that Aelin had to come in and save him,
Right.
but people don't know that, they think she's just fighting the king, but I'm like, I don't know. You don't want people not to trust you,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I go
I
back and forth
almost
on
think
that
it's
too.
more important for people to trust Aelin right now than Dorian. Dorian has a legitimate claim to the throne. I mean, I know that it's gonna be contested, but Aelin is the one who needs a little more positive PR right now.
Yeah, and, like, I killed the king, but I saved everybody if we'll
Yeah.
take a look at what's happening with the glass wall, but
Exhibit A, this glass wall.
meanwhile, the witches and Alid land in Oakwald Forest, where they spend the night. The next morning, Alid and Manon talk about Caltain's not
It's not
sacrifice.
a sacrifice because I'm not sure she cared if the witches or Elite or anyone cleared the blast. Like, it was mutually beneficial revenge.
I mean, it was a big moment, so it's very hard for Alid, but
It was like a morally gray moment, but Kaltain is sympathetic.
yeah, like, I think she's not realizing, like, Caltain cared, but she didn't. She
Yeah.
didn't make sure you got out first, so, like, it's
Kaltain wasn't saving you. Kaltain was getting rid of herself.
so, like, actually, it's kinda helping to unburden a lead. Like, don't walk around with this heaviness that she did this big sacrifice for you in some fashion. Like, she
Hmm.
did, but she didn't. Manon tells Alid the 13 are going back to Morath, but she's not.
I'd be like, but the 14 sounds fucking stupid, so you can't sit with us.
Also, you don't have a wyvern.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But this is an opportunity for freedom for Elide to let everyone think that she died in the blast. Then Manon tells her Aelin is alive. Again, I'm so confused who knows what. But this is when she finds out that Aelin is alive. Not just alive, but that she quote unquote killed the king of Otterland and destroyed the glass castle because that's what the news is reporting. But it's like not only it's kind of like when word was spreading that Aelin had made this big stand at Mistward, and it was like, not only is our queen alive, but she's willing to fight.
Mhm. It follows the same line, like, "Look what she's done here. She's making big changes. She's coming to fix the wrongs that have been done to everybody." It goes great with her PR. And it's not just Aelin who is alive, but Adian and Ren and Terrasen is alive.
And Elite has no idea the person that Kaltain told her to find, Selena Sardathian, is Aelin Galathinius. She has less things on her to-do list than she thinks.
Manon hands her a pack with some money and 3 daggers. Then she takes a small skeleton key and unlocks the chains around Alid's ankles.
We will talk a lot about Manon leaving Elite in the forest when we get to those chapters.
Mhm.
But this to me is like Chaos standing in front of the king with nothing but a sword. The courage it takes for a lead, no matter how, like, what we think about this setup, the courage it takes for a lead to even try to get to Terrasen when she has a fucked ankle, can't read, she's alone, can't hunt, no map quest. All she has is like a general direction and hope. And she has Aneth, I guess, even more so now that magic is freed. But it's these characters, like, it's amazing what Aelin does and what Dorian does and Manon, but then like the Chaos and Elide, when you see them having that courage.
It's underrated, the
Mm-hmm.
strength that they have to push forward. Back in Rifthold, Aelin tells Lysandra she has one more task for her. There's a territory in the north, a small bit of land that used to belong to the Allsbrook family, but has been sitting there unused for a while, and it could use a lady.
It's plagued by ghost leopards, hence the ring Aelin gives her having an engraving of a leopard with a key above it to symbolize Lysandra's freedom. Aelin had it commissioned weeks ago and retrieved it that morning when she slipped out to get the real word key, the real amulet of Warrant.
Ugh, this is like another one of
This
those
will make
scenes
me want to cry.
that like makes me tear up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Lysandra objects, saying the people of Terrasen will resent her and resent Aelin.
and they do. Aelin doesn't give a shit though if they resent Lysandria or Lysandris or Lysandra land, or that Lysander doesn't know anything about being a lady. Aelin doesn't exactly know how to rule a kingdom. That's going to be a problem. But they can figure it out together.
So sweet.
This is another, like, I love Rowan, but Aelin and Lysandra, Manon and Elide, did we even need men in this book?
I mean, like, yeah, thanks for being around. That evening, the newly crowned king of Otterland joins Aelin in her court for dinner.
Aelin, Aedion, and Dorian are together for the first time in 10 years, since the king visited Terrasen with the hope that Aelin of the Wildfire would burn the demon out of him. And now they're king and queen and Aedion.
And Aedion.
But it's just, they're all back at a table together. And it's like they went from like these little kids to now, like, look at who they are.
Yeah, it is wild.
This series is so fucking good. Like, it makes my stomach hurt. This
so
series is so
excited.
good.
Earlier in the day, King Dorian signed a decree freeing all conquered kingdoms from Otterland's rule.
And I do wish Nahemia had been there to see that.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I mean, it's just
Everything
such
she
a
was
huge
fighting
moment.
for.
And they toast to a new world and to freedom. The end. Not really. There are like several ends.
Unfortunately, Parrington/Erewhon and Vernon survived the blast.
Can we just go with Vernon?
He is Vernon now from here on out. But a third of Morath didn't survive.
Including a good number of guards and servants, 2 covens, and Elide.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Elide.
Elide. Manon is watching the Dukes crash out over the major setbacks, obviously to what they were building and planning at Morath, but also what Erewhon was planning for Kaltane.
Manon's grandmother will be in Morath in 2 weeks, and Erewhon wants the covens trained with the latest battle plans by then. Astern asks if they're supposed to actually fight for the Duke, but all Manon says is for now, they're waiting for her grandmother to bring the witch towers, the ones that Manon saw the plans for in that wagon in Oakwald Forest, the ones that originally had been, they planned to use Kaltane's Shadowfire. So you're like, what are they going to do now?
Oh, man. Manon asks Astern about that human hunter, what it felt like to love.
It was like dying a little every day. It was like being alive, too. It was joy so complete it was pain. And their witchling, she loved her in a way she can't describe. Is this why Manon visits Dorian? Like, she has this conversation with Astern about what does love feel like? And it's interesting her next move is to go visit Dorian.
It's not like she knows him or has had a chance, but it's like, I don't know, new beginnings. Like she's thinking of, like her mind is following a different path now. It's not just about the witches and their future. She's, I guess, checking in on him to see.
It's also interesting she didn't just take a lead along with her.
I know. I mean, like if we're on our way there, also, I had forgotten that they actually spent the night in Oakwald Forest. I'm like, you had plenty of time to fly a lead somewhere else.
Well, even if, so like, I know that Elide is going to Terrasen, even though Aelin was last seen in Rifthold, and Selena, who she has to find first, was last seen in Rifthold. Even if she were going to Terrasen, Rifthold is on the way. I looked at a map to confirm this.
A real map.
She like dropped her off, and then I know that she went to Morath first, but then she had to have basically flown over where Elide was to get back.
I guess
to Rifthold.
It was because they're supposed to, the wyverns are not a secret, but they kind of are, so maybe they're just not supposed to be seen.
I don't know.
I know.
I know that there's a reason Elide had to be in a forest and like her storyline, but
This is why, like, sometimes it's great to read things on your own because once you start asking questions of each
Are you
other,
saying
we
you hate
spiral.
reading with me? This
No,
is
I
why I prefer to
it's
do it
like
alone.
it's that video I sent you where somebody was like, "If you ask a lot of questions, fuck off. I just wanna vibe with the
I
story."
know I wish I could just be a vibe or a mood reader, but
Well, because
I
like,
think too much.
the first time through, yeah, you're vibing, but, like, each time we go through, I love it so much, but I start, like, overthinking everything, but now
Mhm.
I like, why didn't they just take a lead somewhere more convenient?
And I guess it's kind of like how in Lord of the Rings, people are like, "Why didn't they just take the eagles?" When that would have been obvious and they couldn't actually fit in Mount Doom. So maybe they're thinking if Elide is supposed to be dead, then they would risk someone seeing her, but
Would it
it's
have
yeah,
attracted too much attention to see them all
I don't
flying? I
know.
don't know. When Astrid says that she's surprised she's not getting the obedience, discipline, brutality speech, Manon says things are changing.
Before they leave Rifthold, Aelin tries to visit Gavin and Elena's tomb, maybe to get some fucking answers from the ghost bitch, but it's blocked by rubble from the explosion. And we never see Mort again, do we? Like, is Mort or whatever his consciousness was, is he free now? Or is Mort just down, trapped in the rubble?
I don't know because Mort was hanging out down there for centuries,
Mm-hmm.
ignored. So I don't
Is he
know.
just in the rubble?
He's okay. He's doing
This
other things.
series should have ended with someone going in a house and it being Mort.
Oh my God. That
That's
would
like a
be
missed opportunity.
maybe Mort will pop up in Akatar somewhere.
I would love that
There's
actually.
two more series that are unfinished. Like Mort has to have made it somewhere. When she returns to her room, Aelin finds Dorian and Chaol sitting by the fireplace, the latter in a wheelchair.
And you know that castle is not ADA friendly. Nothing in this world is going to be ADA friendly. Nothing before, like, I mean, things now barely
Do
are.
they
Like,
even
it's
have paved
just,
streets? Like, he's not getting anywhere
no.
comfortably.
And they've had their ups and downs, but seeing Dorian, Chaol, and Aelin, like, these are our, like, the Three Musketeers. These are our people that we started this story with. And then knowing how long they're about to be apart, like what they're about to face, it's just heartbreaking. Like, and I'm not even on my period this time, but it makes me want to cry just seeing them because their paths are about to diverge so much.
Well, at least Chaol and Dorian will stay together in Otterland, but, like, and Aelin can come visit at any time, but it's like when you,
Well, right
like
now, Kale's going to the Southern Continent.
but it's literally like college, like, you guys grow up and you move away from each
It
other
is.
sometimes, and you're like, "It was so much fun when we were all living
And then you're like,
nearby."
we're going to stay in touch. And then you do not stay in touch with them.
Things get harder. Obviously, Terrasen and Otterland will be allies, but with Morath blocking access to Eelway, an army from the southern continent would be clutch.
And that is why Aelin is appointing Kale an official ambassador for Terrasen on his trip to Antica. And he should be like proud of that,
I
right?
mean, you would think like it's a noble cause, but there's so much pressure on his shoulders now, and he's
It
like, I need
is.
to get
But
healed.
that is a lot of growth for Aelin. Like in the beginning of this book, they both had so much anger
She's
towards each
also,
other. And now she's like letting him represent Terrasen is
yeah,
just huge.
trusting him to like really properly have her back.
And does he?
I haven't read Tower of Dawn in a while. We shall see. Chaol returns the Eye of Elena to Aelin, and Dorian asks why, after all the months of Chaol wearing it, it never reacted, even when there was danger.
Elena once told Aelin that courage of the heart was rare and to let it guide her. And Chaol showed courage of the heart when he faced the king just to give his friends a chance.
Aww. Before she leaves, Aelin visits Chaol, who asks if he can see her magic. That's the first time he's ever asked.
Mm-hmm.
She holds out her hands, and ribbons of red and gold fire dance around the
I would have
room.
set his room on fire. Hale says it's lovely, and when she leaves, she keeps a rose of gold flame burning on his nightstand, right beside the tissues and the lotion.
I don't think he's ready to take that journey yet. Aelin also leaves a
You know
gift.
what? There's a bonus chapter actually
Really?
of Nezrin and Chaol's journey that we'll talk about that I don't know if you've read.
I haven't, and you have me on the edge of my seat after we just talked about lotions
Yeah.
and
Lotion and
lotion
tissue.
tissues.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not gonna. I will talk about it.
I'm going to ask you about this offline immediately. Aelin also leaves a gift for Nezrin, the golden arrow of Deanna that she was presented at Yulmus.
Oh, I love like we've all grown so much. And I do love all the callbacks in this book. We got Ress, Brulo, the Arrow, what's her name? Spindlehead. What's her name? Phil?
You talking about Philippa?
Philippa.
Oh, I was like, "What?
Spindlehead.
Spindlehead?"
Fleetfoot. We talked about the party they were all at in Assassin's Blade. Like, everything is just very, not that we're at the end,
It
but
does feel like we're kind of, like, wrapping things up, though.
well, I think I read that this book series was supposed to originally be 3 books, and that it seems
Oh.
like she kind of wrapped up in each book. But the characters are coming full circle too. We've obviously talked a lot about Aylin's arc, but Dorian and Chaol too. The Dorian we met was sweet, but he saw in Dovier, he knew what his father was doing, and he was content to kind of sleep around and stay out of it. Then he started stamping his little loafer down and storming out of council meetings. He still wasn't really standing on business or doing anything, and now he's just signed a decree freeing all those kingdoms. And Chaol went from this brainwashed, magic hating, rule loving asshole who served the king without question, and then he was a rebel who stood up to the king, and the Manon we met was all obedience, discipline, brutality. And now she knows that fighting for those who can't defend themselves isn't a weakness. Elide was running from something. Now she's running to something. It's like Rowan, Lysandra. Like, there is just no I know I keep saying this. There's no series like Throne of Glass. This shit should be required reading in school.
I mean, it's so much, yeah, like, character development, it's amazing. Then Aylin's last goodbye is Dorian.
So much has changed, but some things never will. They will always be friends, even when I'm trying to kill you. As they ride out of Rifthold, they pass the Royal Theatre, which is once again playing music.
That is amazing how quick that turned around. That night, Dorian wakes from a nightmare at 3 in the morning.
The witching hour, so that's like very appropriate. But do you know why it's called the witching hour?
I feel like I've heard it, but it's been so long. Tell me.
I looked it up. I
Okay.
looked it up. So in folklore, it's the time at night. Obviously, it's the darkest, but it's when the powers of witches and other supernatural beings are believed to be the strongest. And it's when the boundary between the living and the dead is the thinnest, and the living are more sensitive to the spirits of the dead. And allegedly, Jesus died at 3 p.m. So 3 a.m. is the inverse of that.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Dori
love shit like that.
I know, but, like, it's those little kinda, like, Easter eggs that you're like, "Interesting, because a
Mm-hmm.
witch shows up." Like, that's such good writing. Dorian walks out onto the balcony and sees a wyvern with glittering wings and a rider with white hair.
3 weeks later, Aelin and her court, Evangeline and Fleetfoot crest a hill, and Aelin Galathinius is finally home.
This is also when she realizes Rowan's scent, pine and snow, is the scent of Terrasen, of home.
It's wild it took her that long to realize that.
I think probably physically being back and being enveloped in
Mm-hmm.
it is like a real, like, callback moment.
The end. Until next week, when we kick off our tandem read with the Empire of Storms prologue, chapters 1 through 5, and Tower of Dawn, chapter 1.
Thanks, y'all, so much for helping us find new book besties with ratings and reviews.
Thanks, y'all.